Okay. Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to you guys. And thank you so much for joining. I would like to, introduce our guest first, Ganesh Vancheeswaran. He's the author of the popular book, The Underage CEOs, published by the HarperCollins. He's a freelance travel writer, brand consultant, and productivity coach. He's a catalyst for people's self-expression. He believes all of us have a fundamental and a strong urge to share our thoughts, stories, life journeys, and knowledge with the world in different ways. And as a personal branding coach, he helps startup founders, independent professionals, and corporate leaders across the world build a distinctive brand for themselves and create the right perceptions in the minds of their target audiences. As a book coach and an editor, he works closely with writers to polish their manuscripts into great books. He works with writers for fiction and non-fiction, business, professional, self-help, and memoirs are some of his favorite type of books as well. And I have to say, sir, your book is a great inspiration for a young person like me, and
Thanks.
I loved it too. Next, I
Oh,
would like
nice.
to introduce our host and my mentor, Shekhar Vijayan. Everyone knows him by his love that he has for his dog, his Sunshine. And he's a motivational speaker, he's a stand up comedian, and an exceptional writer because he's co written a book called Dare to Dream as well. He's a very inspiring person that people can learn a lot from, and I've got the opportunity to do the same. As an entertainer and a motivational speaker, he has performed at corporate events, sporting events, book launches, product launches, property launches, and the list goes on. And when it comes to news channels, he has appeared to many news channels till now, from CNN to Republic TV to Times Now, NewsX, on various topics: leadership, politics, sports, environment, and entertainment. So, welcome to all of you here, and we can start this session.
Thank you, Krisha. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
those
Krisha.
warm
Thanks a lot.
words and inspirational words. It's so nice to start with you because I think this entire conversation is going to be around age and everything around age, actually. So, a big welcome to all the participants who joined us today. We've got a very interesting panel. We've got a very interesting audience here, and we're going to make the most of the next half an hour with Ganesh. So, before we start, I would request everybody to, to put the mobiles in silent mode, please. We don't want you to look like you're in a theater and suddenly get a call and oh my God, kya karna hai types. So please put your mobiles in silent mode. Enjoy this conversation, and you can be interrupted by your family members because my dog might just come and interrupt me. She might do an Alfred Hitchcock or a guy on you. So don't get worried. It's not a filter. It's my dog. Yeah. So we'll give it around 15 seconds and then we start. And keep your questions also handy. We're going to take some questions also at the end of the session. This is a very, very interesting session, like I said, because Ganesh is a very eclectic scorpion, I believe. He's a man who wears many hats. He does a whole lot of things under the sun. He's got a great voice, and he's like they say in the theater circles, he's got the voice of God. And he's something like a lighthouse. He's something like a lighthouse right now. I'll tell you more about why I say lighthouse, because I can see that light emanating from his background right now, and it also talks about his book also. So, Ganesh, growing up, there was this very interesting album by Bryan Adams called 18 Till I Die, and Bryan Adams till 18 Till I Die, Bryan Adams was known as this very sweet, very lover boy kind of musician who, regular t-shirt, regular guitar, and he could really woo you away to your heart. And then he comes up with this album, which is called, 18 Till I Die, which was all things different. And I also believe your book, 22 Till I Die, is a bit like that, because it breaks a lot of myths. It breaks a lot of perceptions about life. It's very self-aware. It's very wise, and it does not talk down to people. It actually converses with people. So tell us a bit about, before we start, you wear many hats, of course, but what is 22 Till I Die all about in one statement or in one sentence? If a sentence is possible, that is.
I'll try. Statement. Well, it's like a coming of age book, for me. Think of it that way, as a career, right? As a career professional. In my career, it's a coming of age book kind of me. You spoke of self-awareness, right? So there are a lot of realizations, and you would really want to express that. So these realizations are what I'm referring to when I say coming of age. All right. So over a period of time, I've gathered certain realizations. through mistakes, through successes, through failures, through whatever. And that's how I see this book. And I want this book to help others. They could be in the mid-career, they could be seniors, they could be juniors, just starting out. It doesn't matter. But I believe this book has something for everybody because it has come from the trenches, Shikhar. All right. I've been in the trenches and I've learned these lessons. So I think, and a lot of people have subsequently written to me saying it does resonate very strongly with my thoughts, my doubts. For many people, validation of what they've done. For many others, there is also something new that the book offers. So I see this as a book for every professional, irrespective of what stage of career they are in, or irrespective of what field or role they are. So that's about 15 sentences. Sorry.
Oh, wow. No, but I think you gave everybody here a good perspective of what the book was about. I think that's essentially, and I think everybody, if you've not got the book, please catch the book. It's around 166 pages long, which is not much. And in today's day and age, reading is an art, I believe, more than listening. I think reading is also an art. So I think there's a lot of nuggets of wisdom you can pick up from that, which also takes me to my next question.
Can you hold that question? I want to add one bit. I think it's important about the book. It's not, I have not given gyan, like you said. It doesn't talk down to people, but it also doesn't give gyan. And it doesn't promise them the moon. It's not today in the times we live in, I think this is very contrary to that. I've consciously kept away from the, 10x growth, 10x success, bite the bullet kind of thing. It's not that at all.
I think it's very simple, actually. And, people tend to complicate simplicity. And I think you've managed to bridge that gap of simplicity because, being simple is not easy. And trying to converse that with your listeners or with your speakers, I think it's an art in itself. That's why I said it's not just the art of listening, it's also the art of reading. I think you need to pick the right books. And I think this is one of those books which everybody should pick up. And I'm telling you this purely because I think life experiences teach us a lot. Now, when you talk about life experience, I'm thinking also of brand. As a brand, you are a brand expert and you work with companies, entrepreneurs, you work with, I'm sure the political parties must be also reaching out to you, looking at how elections are going to pan out now next 1 year. But there's a separate discussion on that. Now tell me this, a brand is a lighthouse which stands tall, shines, illuminates everything around it. It's like a beacon of hope. That's what I believe a lighthouse is for the ships, for the boats, and for anyone out there, something which you look up to. Now, in this day and age, in today's day and age, in the post-pandemic scenario, do you think branding, with the coming of age of artificial intelligence, storytelling, and fact and not fiction coming into picture, do you think branding has to revolve or reinvent or change its entire axis in some form?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it should change its entire axis. In fact, I think that's the part that most people have got wrong. I think they've been overawed by the technological changes, by the profusion of internet-based media, social media, all of that. It's dizzying. I understand that. But, in the process, most people have junked the core principles of branding. And, that's where I think they've gone wrong. So what we need to do is, and this has happened in the past also, Shekhar, once in 15 years, once in 25 years, these things do happen. Branding has to change, yes. The core principles have not changed, and I don't think they will change for, as long as we can foresee. So the core principles of, branding is all about being sharpness, standing for something sharp and clear, clear articulation, and identifying the right target audience, and then drawing them, right? So these are core principles, and there has to be responsibility, there has to be accountability in whatever you do. There has to be authenticity. None of this has changed. None of this is going to change. None of this is changing now. What is, however, changing is the way in which we articulate stuff, the way in which we reach out to people, the way we gather people around our brand. The community, today the term is community, right? So the band of followers, the kind of people who believe in what you, how do you find them? How do you reach out to them? How do you communicate? The dynamics of communication, those are what are changing. And I think every professional in this space, every person who wants to brand themselves has to latch on to these nuances, these emerging technologies, emerging changes in the way we communicate, in the way we interact, in the way we hold on to our audiences.
Absolutely. I think that harks back to my first point, that I think a brand is like a lighthouse, actually, if you think about it. You exemplified more ways than one, right? Because it stands tall irrespective of the situation around it. Now, thanks for breaking that myth. Now, Ganesh, you also wear many hats. I know that you wear many hats. You curate festivals too. You curate a book festival. You're a writer. You're a book editor. You're a coach. You're a personal brand and a voiceover artist. Now,
thank God I'm not schizophrenic, man.
In today's day and age, you would say that also, yeah.
With all this going on in my head, you wouldn't wonder, you would be surprised.
Bas yahi baki hai. But tell me
yes,
this.
Go on.
Which avatar do you prefer the most? Which is the one which gives you that creative high? I'm taking creative high because that's a quote in your book too, when you talk about creative high. So
yes.
which avatar do you like prefer the most in this? Out of all these
high
avatars,
of creation,
all these,
I talk about that in the book, yes.
Yeah.
Shekhar, it's going to be difficult, and I don't think I can choose one. I cannot. It's really difficult. I tell you what, I'm in love with self-expression, and so I've positioned myself as a catalyst for self-expression. You referred to that earlier, right? Because I believe all of us, it's so core, it's so visceral to all of us, even in the professional realm, that we want to talk about our work, our achievements, our knowledge, our life journeys, our struggles. So this is what. Step back and look at it. This is just the human condition. So I'm coming from there. This is my driving belief, and I'm identifying with our human condition. And I'm saying, hey, this is so beautiful. I connect with it. And can I be an enabler in this space? That's how this thinking or this whole thing came about. And when I come with that kind of connection, identifying with human condition, then it is universal. Yeah. Then all the streams of my work, they all have this common thread of self-expression, right? Enabling self-expression. So I love all of them equally. So, scripting a video is equally enjoyable as writing a book for myself, is as enjoyable as seeing somebody else, another writer, blossom into an author when I kind of put them through the paces, help them, hold their hands. It's so beautiful. And each of this is a separate part or facet of self-expression. I'm totally in love with it, man.
Superb. I think that's one reason why this SFactor show, the fireside chat and the SFactor show, is not just entertaining, it's engaging, it's informative also, and very educative also. And I think guests like you really fit the bill there. Ganesh, now tell me this, you play so many avatars, you play so many roles, and you're so clear in your head about how it is. You're very honest and upfront about it. Now, you have some visible skills, you have some invisible skills, and I also believe you genuinely believe in the joy of giving, which is a skill set, which is a super strength in today's day and age. I think the superpowers of the 21st century is the joy of giving, actually, which not many people really, and we are living in a world which is more interested in achieving, aspiring, attaining more than giving. Now tell me this, can you share a moment from your, more than 2 decades of experience where all these visible and invisible skills were used for any particular project or any particular situation, and you realize that everything is coming to play here in the last 2 decades? I know it's more than 2 decades, right? 23 years.
Yeah.
Suddenly I'm making you sound young, too young or too old.
Arey Baba, I'll always be 22, man. Like I said in my book, it's really clear. Yeah, your biological clock can keep ticking, but I do think that the way you frame yourself, the way you energize yourself and get out of bed every morning, that need not change at all, no, Shekhar? Really.
Correct.
But to answer your question, has there been a project where I've used all my skills? Is that what you're asking?
All your skills, absolutely. The power of your talent, of course, the power of mentoring people, the power of giving people, because you mentioned all this in bits and pieces, but is there one project which you've used?
So I can give you an example of a project. Yeah, there have been
spilling the beans.
No, not at all. Competitors. No, not at all. There's nothing to hide. But one of the projects, there have been quite a few projects like that. One of them that comes to mind because it's current, still going on, is the Bangalore Business Literature Festival. Right? So sometimes I'm not able to spend much time on it, and there is that feeling of guilt also. But that's that I can take that as an example. It has brought together a community. We're slowly building that, and that is a place where a lot of book lovers come for stimulating discussions. So my skills in marketing, my skills, my love for books and for authors and for writing as a profession, that festival to some extent at least. So I think I can cite that as a place where at least much of my skills have come together, if not all. And then there have been, when I set up my editing and book coaching service, right? Book coaching is another area. So this is not a particular project, unlike BBLF, but this is an area, I think it's still important and beautiful. So one works with the author from the beginning. Like I say in my workshop, my writing workshop, it's called The Right Path. I say that writing a book is, much more than writing a book.
Correct.
Let that sink in. Writing a book is actually much more than writing a book.
Much more than writing a book.
Yeah. It starts with understanding the idea, crystallizing it, finding the fit to market. Otherwise, it can be a diary, right? If you just want to write for yourself, you might as well write a diary and lock it up in your drawer. But you're writing a book, which means there has to be an audience and you need to find that audience. Then you have to crystallize the idea to make sense for that audience. And you have to structure the book, flesh it out, draw up a chapter plan, and then write the book. And then there are creative challenges along the way. There are bottlenecks. There are moments of doubt. You navigate all that, then come somewhat to the conclusion of the manuscript. You get it edited, 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. Then you need to find a home for the book. The book needs a publisher. And that's a separate game in itself. So then there are discussions and thoughts revolving that, literary agents, publishers. So I think that again encapsulates or uses a lot of my skills, diverse skills, and I find that very fulfilling.
Lovely.
And
I think you just...
Yeah.
Go
so,
for it.
One aha moment, one extremely fulfilling moment for me is 2 points along this journey. One, when the author finishes the manuscript and, there is a sense of happiness. That's a big, big milestone. Secondly, when it and a good publisher, someone who supports. I think for me, these are the 2 most fulfilling moments in this journey.
Absolutely. And I think that's so true, right? I think the way you were drawing the journey, and I'm very visual by nature, I could almost think that the journey of a butterfly and how it navigates through various things in life. I think that's exactly what a writer would also go through. So writing is writing until it's in a journey, but once it becomes a book, it becomes different. But then it has a journey of its own, right? Ganesh, that also takes me back to something which I believe, and I'm sure you also believe in this, that taking care of your spiritual health, your mental health, and your physical health is a superpower of the 21st century. And, you mentioned this in detail about, which my dog will not agree to, I'm sure. This particular quote which you've mentioned, that stillness is your best refuge. Like, I can play a game with her, I'm sure I'm going to win that hands down, because she does not stay still. And that's very important in today's day and age, because we all are distracted by everything around us, right? It's the art of staying focused. It's the art of just being still. It's like a mannequin challenge, I believe. Now, how do you, can you tell us a bit more about that? Why do you say that stillness is your best refuge? Because I think it's deeper than what you say. I feel there's much, much more to it, right? It's not just it's not just a witty and an absurd caption which you say, because I think there's so much of humor and there's so much of wisdom attached to it.
Right. So just like your dog, I have a chief distraction officer at home, and that's my 12-year-old. It's my son, right? So when I'm with him, I just can't be still at all, because children, they're like dogs, energy buzzing all over the place, all over the time. But you're right. I wrote this in the context of it's a timeless truth, Shekhar. I've always believed so, and I've always been, I think, slightly distanced from the action. 2 steps behind, slightly more reflective, more contemplative kind. I know that right from college, right? But I think this is accentuated or increased of late in the last few years, because there is so much frenetic action around us. On social media, offline, on the roads, in traffic, when you go to schools, there are meetings anywhere, office context, anywhere, right? So much frenetic action, and a lot of it is actually noise. Out of that frenetic action, I think a lot of it is just noise. It's not substantive. Yeah, there are no insights. There is no substantive thinking for much of the time. Now, for the last few years, I've been a big believer in energy. Okay, energy flow. So I prioritize that more than anything else. My energy flow is critical to me, which means it's somewhat, in a very simplistic sense, it's like the mood, right? But it's far deeper. My energy changes from day to day, and I believe that's true for all of us. But therefore I don't want to box myself into saying, I need to wake up at 5 or 5:30 every morning and then do this and do that and do that and do that. I don't want to do that. So I take time out for reflection every day. That's part of my energy flow. And reflection, I think you mentioned self-aware, that this book comes across as being, I would credit reflection, which in turn comes from stillness. So there is stillness, there is reflection, there is therefore self-awareness. And as a result of self-awareness, there is, all of that creation, whatever work you do, you can sparkle in that work. You mentioned giving earlier, right? So to some extent, without sounding pompous about it, but I don't want to sound falsely humble about it also. I have made it a part of my daily life, giving in some form or the other. It could be connections, it could be help, it could be advice, it could be knowledge, whatever. So all of this is linked. And I think the starting point for all this is stillness. I've realized that, and therefore I incorporate that kind of time, not just once in a day, but throughout the day. I refer to it in the book that I withdraw from the action and I just sit still. I find refuge in silence and stillness through the day.
Superb. Interestingly, when we are all growing up, we're all looking at various forms of energy to stimulate us. And now we have come to a situation where we use the energy within ourselves to energize others, right? Isn't it? I think
Yes.
somewhere as you grow, like you said,
Yes.
it's just a biological clock, but that wisdom seeps in and you start looking at things in a different manner. Now, on that note, before the I had asked you, who's your favorite actor? And you said Mohanlal, right? For the people who
Without
don't
question.
follow South Indian, the people who
Without
don't follow
question.
South Indian films, Mohanlal is the complete actor. And we can have a complete discussion around that because he's written a website called The Complete Actor. Now, Ganesh, I know you're up for a challenge, right?
Okay.
And nothing is scripted here. I'm going to give you 5 questions. Okay, 5 questions on Mohanlal. आप 3 आंसर कर दो, आपको एक हग मिलेगा आलोक, आपको एक वर्चुअल हग मिलेगा आलोकनाथ से.
Oh my God, I don't think that I'm up for this challenge, man. I don't want that. You promise me beer and I'll be up for anything.
Done deal. आपको 3 आंसर करना है लेकिन.
कोशिश तो करते हैं सर. Shoot.
Try करो, आप कर लोगे. ठीक है? Okay, so Ganesh is arguably one of the biggest fans of Mohanlal, and we all are. I think he's a great actor. I've met him in person. I've done a couple of shows with him. He's all the things which you just mentioned before the show and during the show was what he's all about. He's also very still, and he also believes in giving, and he's also a great mentor in front of the camera. And he's done a lot of interesting movies there. But now there's a connection between Mohanlal and the character Karna from the Mahabharata. Ganesh. This is your first question. You can take help from the audience, huh? The people who joined in. Please, they are all your friends, I'm guessing. Aapke dost
so they can
just message you. There is a connection between Mohanlal and Karna from the Mahabharata. What is that connection?
I'm sure you're referring to a role of his. Yeah, it's not coming to my mind. Koi uska role hoga, I'm sure, in some film. I haven't watched all his films, however, for all the fandom that I claim. I watched maybe half his films, not the other half. Okay, shall we park this aside? Let me just check my messages very furtively. Has someone written? There's nothing in my inbox, man. Okay, so let's.
Fine. So I will. This is a trial round for you. Don't worry. See,
you got an answer in the chat box.
Mangaleshwari Neelkantan, no. That's the name of the character in another movie, but very close, Shiju. One more question for you, Ganesh. Okay. You ready?
Okay.
There are people helping you out, by the way.
I know, but they're okay. But they're off the mark too. No, equally clueless.
Yeah, they're quite close. They're quite close. I'll give you a situation. I'll give you a synopsis of a story. Tell me the name. Give you 4 options.
Okay.
I'll give you 4 options. You tell me the name of the movie. Simple. A man breaks off his engagement with his fiancée after he learns that she won't get any inheritance. The woman then hires a stranger to pretend as a husband when her father comes to visit the couple. I'm going to give you 4 options. Tell me the name of the movie. The first option is Nasim.
Okay.
Yes. The woman hires a stranger to pretend as I like the way the audience is getting involved. That's not the correct answer.
Yes. It's films. It's Mohanlal.
It's films. Mohanlal. I'll tell you once again. I'll repeat the question once again. A man breaks off his engagement with his fiancée after he learns that she won't get any inheritance. So, usko paisa milne wala, usko pata kuch milne, paisa nahi milne wala, he breaks off his inheritance with this woman. What this woman does is, she hires a stranger to be her husband when her father comes to visit the couple from US. Now, I want the name of that movie. It's got some lovely songs.
This is easy. Chitram.
Chitram is correct. Superb. We should give him a virtual clap.
Give me a clap. I also said it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the person who's answering is equally fanatic about films. Srini, he's my friend. So both of us are equally fanatic about Hindi films, Hindi music, Malayalam films, all of that.
Lovely.
So I'm not surprised that he's answering. But Chitram is a good film, wonderful songs, and it had excellent performances from everybody. Not just the protagonists.
Superb. Now the next question. Now that you answered correctly because of Srini, there's a question is for both you and Srini because both of you love movies. Let's see, and for the rest of the people here, including Kresha. This story follows a rivalry of a crime boss named Vincent and the Home Minister of Kerala. There has to be a Home Minister of Kerala. This movie was also remade in Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, and Kannada. And there was a Sydney Sheldon connection to this.
Yes.
Okay, now it is Raja and Magan. Now, I'll give you extra points if you tell me who was this movie offered to earlier. Before
that's-
Mohanlal did it, obviously. I like the fact that I can make Ganesh also think.
I like the fact that I can think.
No, of course. It's actually Mammootty.
Acha. But Mammootty was an obvious
offered to
choice.
Mammootty.
I was keeping away from
Yeah.
that. I thought I wouldn't say Mammootty.
Yeah. Mammootty was offered first, and this was based on a Sydney Sheldon, by the way. This Rajaamne Magan was the movie which really made Mohanlal into that mass hero which he is, right? Now there's a Bollywood connection to this next question. Mohanlal plays the role of a police commissioner named Virapalli Srinivasan, like your friend Srinivasan. Yes,
That's in Company.
You got it right. You got 2 correct. There's a clap for you from your friends and everybody else. Yeah. Okay.
I think I'm doing better in this section than the earlier one, or what?
Yeah. Last one. Last one. Mohanlal aspires to become a police officer to fulfill his father's dream. However, his life turns upside down.
Kiridam Chengol.
And tell me, what is the best moment for you from Kiridam? What did you like about the movie?
Again, difficult, man. With Mohanlal's films, difficult to pick one moment and one song and one scene and all that. I don't know. The most disturbing moment for me, I think, was there are 2. One in Kiridam and one in Chengol. The most disturbing, so that's the qualifier. One is in Chengol when his character changes. And the beginning of that change is when he sees his father being thrashed in public. He sees Tilakan getting thrashed in public. There's a crowd of bystanders. They're doing nothing about it, right? So the rage builds and builds. You see the helplessness turn into rage. And then this guy really, something breaks. The dam breaks and then he starts pulping the other guy, right? He takes on the baddie and rescues his father. I think that is the time when his character starts sliding down within quotes, if I can call it that, because that also is a very nuanced thing. That was a very disturbing moment for me. And the other one is in Chengol, the climax of Chengol, man. So I don't want to give it away to people if they haven't seen it, but that horrible realization that all this has been a total waste, and the feeling of utter helplessness, failure, of doom that dawns on him when he sits crying there. I think that shook me a lot. It shakes me even today.
So, Ganesh, I have to share this with all of you. I had a chance to meet Mohanlal for a show, and I asked him this same question on Kiridam, because Kiridam is a wonderful movie, and I said that ending, where he's about to kill the police officer, he's got a dagger in his hand, crowded marketplace, and he's anger gets to his head. He starts gnawing his teeth. Right? He said that's the moment when I started thinking like how an animal would react. So he starts gnawing his teeth and he's not in control of his senses. And the way he explained it to me in such a nonchalant manner, and the way he does it obviously in front of the camera is different, that I was like, wow, this is at another level altogether. The level of acting, of course, and the level of life experience we have been able to draw that and then come back in again. So I think Ganesh, that in a nutshell is what this quiz was about, Mohanlal. But we obviously owe you a beer. But more than anything else, it was wonderful to talk to you. We wanted to keep this very short and sweet in like half an hour, because there's so much knowledge and so much information, and I think we managed to capture that and much more in this very interesting podcast.
I'm so happy, man. I'm so happy you think that. I'm so happy.
I wanted to keep it very, very quirky and very different. And with you, it is very, because you're a man of so much. You're very self-aware, and you have so much of perspectives on life, which is very, very important. In an age where everything is a distraction, I think it's very important to meet somebody who's very still, right? And I think you're the best example of that. Yeah.
Thank you, bro. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks for having me on the show, first of all. And thanks for this engaging conversation. And Krisha, thanks for supporting us and making this happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks to the viewers. Thanks to people.
Thanks to the viewers. Yeah.
Yes.
For them logged off because they had to rush in the Bangalore traffic. I think one of your friends rushed off, but I think any questions that we have, we can take from any of your questions here, which your friends don't know about you. They could ask this question right now in this very interesting forum, which is going to be recorded. We're going to share the link also with you.
And we'll post the link later. Yes.
Yes.
I want to mention this about Ganesh. Shekhar, so I know Ganesh for a while. Are you hearing me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, so I know Ganesh for a while, and I want to say that I've admired Ganesh both from afar and up close. Up close in the sense of we work together and things like that, and afar is when we haven't worked together, and we've kind of gone separate ways. He does his own thing, and I do my own thing. So this admiration is basically because of a deficiency which I feel that I have. Not so much a deficiency, you could say a skill set which I am trying to see. How I can acquire like his for the last several years, but not been able to. Which is while we take our personal lives for granted, and we have to go through that, right? As a father, as a mother, as a son, etc., etc., we need to go through that life. But if you take away that aspect, which is, let's say, a common struggle to all of us, then the other two spheres are, one is professional and then the professional plus, or the personal plus, something outside of the professional and the personal sphere, which is your own passion, which is your hobby, which is your pastime, and there is a manifestation or an articulation or an expression of that particular passion in a certain way, in his case, the writing, etc., etc. So I try to dabble in some writing on philosophy, and submitted a few articles which also got published by the Times of India. Now, but I realized that it was very difficult for me to consistently be at it, and then keep producing something or the other, some work or the other at a consistent kind of a pace. But a man like him is juggling about at least half a dozen things. No, not even half. I should say a dozen things, because there are about 12 things that I have read that he's or heard about that he's doing. So that's the admiration that I want to say. The fact that he is able to actually equally give time to all of those spheres. And that's a fantastic thing, which means his brain, his mind is wired to a variety, to a multiplicity of skill sets. So therefore, I think that versatility is the quality of envy that one should say, one about Ganesh. It's an
Lovely.
reason why,
Thank you, sir.
even if
That's
you switch
very
off
humbling, actually.
once in a while, you keep coming back again.
Thank you, sir. It was very positive, and I'm sure you send a lot of good morning messages like this in the morning also to your friends, because it's very insightful and there's so much of energy in it, like Ganesh was rightly saying.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Srinu. Thanks. Very humbling to hear that. Thanks.
No, not at all. You deserve all of it.
Thank you. Krisha, we've come to the end. How much time do we have?
Less than a minute. We just have seconds now.
We have seconds. We can do the final countdown. If Ganesh, do you have a song for all of us? I know you sing also, right?
No. Strictly at the bar or in the bathroom. Which is this? It's not the bathroom. Maybe it's the bar. Yeah. So I'm not a singer and all that. Yeah. I just enjoy music. I just enjoy listening to it.
It was
Lovely.
nice having